personalities at the high table, the General Secretary of the party, to introduce the members of the branch. I'd like to start from the extreme left.
This afternoon, Honorable Johnson Asiedu Nketia. Thank you very much.
A good afternoon to all of you, particularly the National Chairman of the National Democratic Congress, Honorable Johnson Asiedu Nketia, as well as the General Secretary, Honorable Fifi Kwete, and your august delegation. On behalf of the Electoral Commission of Ghana, I warmly welcome all of you to the Commission this afternoon. Indeed, this is the day that the Lord has made. We rejoice and we are glad in it. And we thank the good Lord for making it possible for us to meet with you on this important occasion to receive the nomination papers for your presidential candidate. We are gathered here this afternoon to kickstart one of the most important processes in the lead up to the 2024 presidential and parliamentary elections. Indeed, without this process, the Commission cannot run the election. And here, I'm referring to the filing of nominations by presidential candidates who are seeking to contest the 2024 general election. Regulation 7 of CI 127 enjoins a presidential candidate to complete and sign 4 copies of the nomination forms. Additionally, the forms are to be signed by no less than 2 persons who are registered voters in the area of authority of each district assembly. The presidential candidate is also required to designate a person to serve as his or her vice presidential candidate. Furthermore, the presidential candidate is required to deliver the forms to the Commission on the date prescribed by the Commission. As in 2020, the Commission has established 2 teams which have been tasked to review all forms submitted. The technical team has been tasked to scrutinize the forms submitted to ensure that the presidential candidates meet the qualifications as set out in law, namely that the presidential candidate is at least 40 years of age, that he or she has satisfied all tax obligations, that he or she has nominated a vice presidential candidate, amongst others. The second team, namely the IT team, has been charged with the responsibility of scrutinizing the voter ID cards of presidential candidates and their supporters so as to verify whether the candidates and their supporters are indeed registered voters. Both teams have been provided adequate training and have been oriented to carry out their functions as prescribed by law. The guiding principle for both teams is clear. They are to operate within the confines of the law. They are not to exercise discretion. Above all, they have been tasked to be fair and yet firm in executing their functions. We have no doubt that the process will be transparent and fair. Additionally, we are confident that the 5-day period provided for the filing process, as opposed to the 2 days provided prior to 2020, will allow enough time for presidential candidates to correct any errors identified in their forms. We are confident that this would help eliminate the tension and rancor that characterized nomination processes prior to 2020. I warmly welcome you to the Electoral Commission of Ghana once again, and thank you for coming to submit the nomination forms on behalf of your presidential candidate, His Excellency, former President John Dramani Mahama. As a returning officer for the 2024 presidential election, I will now receive your forms. As you may already be aware, your forms will be subjected to vetting and scrutiny by our teams. And I'd like to assure you that our teams will go to work immediately on the forms. The Commission will contact you within the shortest possible time to inform you of the decision arrived at. We thank you for your time this afternoon and declare, may God bless our homeland Ghana and make our nation great and strong. Thank you.
Friends from the Commission, as you've already indicated, we are here representing His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, who is our presidential candidate, duly elected presidential candidate of the National Democratic Congress. And on behalf of the National Democratic Congress, the sponsoring party, as indicated earlier on, the laws require that we file nominations to be approved by the Commission. And through exchange of communications, we all agree that today, 2 o'clock, is the appointed time for the filing of nominations. So we are here for that purpose. We have brought with us duly completed nomination forms, and let me commend you for making the forms available online, so we didn't have to come here to pick physically. So we've completed the nomination forms in quadruplicate as required by law. We submit here attestation to the tax compliance of our candidate in the form of a tax clearance certificate, and then a declaration from the audit service, the declaration to assist liability under Article 286 of the 1992 Constitution, the official receipt. And then we have a banker's draft covering the filing fees. And then we have the pictures, sizes of which have been stipulated in your nomination forms. And we submit the particulars of a person selected as the running mate for His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, who is in the person of Professor Jane Nana. We are hopeful that he's going to be the first female Vice President of the Republic of Ghana. In addition, we have paid, we submit here our banker's draft covering the filing fees for all our 276 parliamentary candidates across the country. We are hopeful that you will notify your district offices about this so that they don't request another payment from our candidates. So on this note, we want to thank you very much for receiving us, and at this point, we have the pleasure to submit the documents to you for your scrutiny, and we will be awaiting for a declaration that our candidate has fully complied with the requirements. Thank you very much. Yes.
certificate for the that's for running results. And then letter of sponsorship conveying the full names of the sponsors who have filed quick reference.
Thanks so much.
So far, from our rounds, there are all indications that change is in the air. And so we just crave your indulgence to secure the peace of the country before, during, and after the elections. We wish to urge the Commission to also play their role as a neutral umpire. We have concerns about the process so far, and I believe we are engaging, and that is the purpose of the engagement, so that we can get mutual conclusions that are acceptable to everybody. But we are not going to sleep over our rights at all getting into these elections. And so we are hopeful that the Commission will listen and listen to us very well and discharge their responsibilities in a manner that will be satisfactory to all participating parties. Thank you very much. God bless our homeland.